Hello, it's CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, and we're across the river from beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. And yay, hope all is going well. Today, I'm going to do a video for my series, The Impetuous Chef. Yay. Ha, this is what that view actually looks like. The painting that I did was a little uh, a simplified version of looking out of my window in the balcony and everything, but yay, it's still cool anyway. I'm about to get back into art. I feel like I need to, but I also want to cook some dinner, so we're making our way to the kitchen. One of the things that I recommend is having just a few good things, that you could work with, that you can pull out, that you just enjoy, some things that are you. Now, one of those things for me, and it works in either way. I can do this as a meatloaf, or I can do this as a hamburger steak in a brown gravy. And today I'm going to do hamburger steak in a brown gravy. So I have about 3 pounds of 80% ground hamburger meat. You know, that you get in those long tubes in the store. And so, yay. I do have some dishes in the dishwasher, so you may hear that in the background. But in this bowl, about 3 pounds, and then what I've added, all these vegetables piled on top. These chopped vegetables that you get in the freezer section. It's onions, bell peppers, celery, and the blend that you might find comes in different ratios. I like to see a good equal bit of the bell peppers and celery and onions. Some blends have more onion and less of the bell pepper. It depends upon it, but try to find a good blend. Now, you can easily do this with fresh vegetables if you want to chop it, or you can do these frozen chopped vegetables. They work just as well either way. I've also got, let me show you. I keep at the ready just this little blend of, and I gotta make some more, this little tube that I use, I blend my own dry vegetables. Basically, the dried herbs, whatever. I know the kind of stuff that I'm typically going to use on a regular basis in my recipes, so I already go ahead and put them together. As soon as I get a tube that is, that I can pour, that's, as soon as I get a tube where I've used enough out of it. This started out being garlic powder, and I've used enough of the garlic powder that I could put some other dried herbs in with it. A little bit of onion, a little bit of cayenne, whatever you think you might want to put in yours. This one has a fair amount of MSG in it. I really won't need to add salt because of the sodium that's in the MSG. But I put quite a bit of that in there, probably about a good 2 tablespoons worth in here. And then I used an Italian blend of breadcrumb. Doesn't really matter the bread. I had this, this, and it's great for breading, but it's also great for filling. And this is a Chestnut Hill, as you can see, but I'm not endorsing the brand. I'm just saying you can use it. An Italian blend for that little extra, but you could use regular panko crumb. You could use, if you didn't have this, you could use panko, unseasoned breadcrumbs, and just add more to it. But yeah, I just, wanted to go there with it. It's what I had on hand, really. But I had some regular breadcrumbs that are not Italian also in the pantry. I just happened to have grabbed those, And then with all this, did I add anything else? No. Then from there, I went straight to the egg. I know that I have about 3 pounds, so I used 3 eggs. You can get away with 2 eggs. You can for about 3 pounds, you could use 2 eggs. And it depends upon. These are grade A large eggs. If they're those really super grade A triple large eggs, or extra large eggs or something like that, you could get away with 2 eggs. And if you have medium eggs, if they're on the smaller side, maybe you want to add just a little bit more egg or moisture or something like that, And this is really all that you need. Sometimes people put a little milk or cream if they're going to go with the meatloaf. You can even take your bread, chunks of bread. If you like a meatloaf, what I would do maybe here is I would cube up some bread. I've got some breadcrumbs in it to spread it out, so I'm not really going to worry about that here. But if I wanted to, I could take, in the absence of the breadcrumb or fewer breadcrumbs, I could take cubes of bread, larger cubes of bread, maybe soak them in a little milk, let that soak up the milk, and add that to the meatloaf. You can use anything really. If you're going to do meatloaf, you can take this recipe, do what you want to do with it. But what I've given you is just the basic: the breadcrumb, the eggs, these vegetables, mirepoix. That's what you would call this, or Trinity. Because there's bits of chopped carrots and things in here. It's more of a mirepoix, which means small vegetables cut up in French. And then the Trinity, the Cajun style Trinity, would be the onion, celery, and bell pepper. That's the when we talk about Trinity, or sometimes people go as far as call it Holy Trinity when they're talking about seasoning. Well, that's what they call that, onion, celery, and bell pepper. And then you can maybe, when you swap out the other vegetables and you start adding in, take out the celery and add carrots in its place or something like that. Or maybe you add just a bunch of other things in it. It's no longer just a Trinity, it's a mirepoix, but whatever, And these kind of things, originally these recipes with the vegetables or whatever that they would add to cook with or whatever, obviously you would cook with what was local. You cooked with what grew locally, meaning that if you couldn't get a hold of some things, then you would add what you did have, and so your food would get seasoned, with what you do have. In the modern world, we do a lot of import-export. As a matter of fact, the whole human race does, really, people in small villages eat food, that's imported or exported or whatever. There's not a lot of regionality. As long as the flavor of food goes, there's not exceptionally a lot of regionality, and there are some exceptions, but for the most part, there are people who can say, oh, this tomato here, this wonderful type of heirloom tomato grows here with the way that we treat it here, and the way it's cultivated so carefully and grooming to be distinct from another type of tomato. There's that type of stuff, but generally in food, it's like if we want to eat an Italian-inspired, meatball over pasta, we'll do that, or if we want to eat, an Asian cuisine or something like that, then we'll do that, whatever. And there's not really, we don't really have to make a special case or a special occasion to enjoy variation in our cuisine. We don't have to eat the same thing every day. I tend to eat a lot of the same types of things. I eat chicken a lot, and and it does get a little redundant that I do the same things with it. And this is one of these things where when I'm making, hamburger patties or meatballs or a meatloaf or something like that, that I can change it up and do make it a little different each time, and that's wonderful. I'm fine with it. These are going to be hamburger patties. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my phone off. I'm going to make sure my hands are very clean. You even, if you wanted to, could put on gloves if you were concerned. I'm fine. I know that I very with the compulsory frequency are going to wash my hands as I'm mixing this, so that's fine. And then I'm going to bring these into large patties, and when I'm done with that, I'll come back and I'll continue the video and show you what I'm talking about. So I'll see you after the click. And I want to point out here that what we want is we want to work with this meat so well that one part of the meat really looks veritably indistinguishable from other parts of the meat. And the vegetables should be inside throughout, all the way through. All the eggs should have absorbed quite evenly. The breadcrumbs should be dispersed evenly all throughout. You shouldn't have a grayish tint of meat over here and a brighter tint of meat over here. It should all be blended very well. So I've got to give this a little bit more of a blend, because I'm seeing some parts where some of the crumbs are on the outside, the breadcrumbs, and they're kind of coating on the outside. So this needs to be mixed a little bit more because we want the flavor to be consistent throughout. So the more well blended the meat is, the better. And then we're going to begin forming the patties. And also remember that your patties, they should be about 1/2 inch thick, and they should be very, very large. And the reason why is that when they cook, they're going to lose volume when they lose fat. This is 80% that I'm working with. It's a really great ratio of meat. What that means is approximately 80% meat to 20% fat. If it's much different, if it's a 90% beef or something like that, then what you might want to do is you might want to think about considering adding in some bacon or folding in a little lard or something like that, because you really do want some flavor to permeate throughout this. And we're going lean here. So this is lean, 80 to 20, and that's an approximate ratio, but we also have the other things in to fill it out. Actually, in this bowl, there's only about 40 grams of carbs throughout this whole bowl, and so per patty, you're going to get a lot less, so yay. Like if you served each person uncooked about a pound after it were cooked, but it'd be a lot less than a pound. But with the carbs, so that would be 40 grams and 40 grams. It'd be about 13 grams of carbs, 13 or 14 grams of carbs per person, just the meat itself. Without sauce or anything like that. That's not bad. That's not bad for a hamburger, if you're watching your carbs. Okay, and here we have the patties all laid out. And there is one smaller patty here, but this is 6, and basically what was in the bowl after I pulled out 6 was a little bit left over. And the reason why there would be, if I were doing about 3 pounds and roughly eyeballing half a pound, I didn't measure it literally. I just used the palm of my hand to figure out what I thought was half a pound. And there should be a little left over due to the additions that I added to it. So that would make sense, right? But this one you can use this smaller patty for someone who has a lesser of an appetite. Maybe you've got like a papoose running around or something like that, or in my case, I'm going to use it for testing, it'll be to test how well, because I made it of equal thickness. It's a little bit smaller, but I should be able to gauge how long to cook on each side and everything. which is fine. And the cooking video and the tasting comes later. As of right now, this is part one of the Impetuous Chef, the recipe video for hamburger steaks, hamburger patties or hamburger steaks. And I'm going to serve these in a really, really rich, deep brown gravy, and possibly over rice or pasta or something like that. I'm thinking rice tonight. I think this goes really, really well over some really awesome Louisiana cooked steamed rice, you know, just that white rice. Maybe I'll throw in a little of the vegetables and just to give it a nice, good flavor, and just, yeah, that's great. I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, until next time, the next video, or whatever I should say, love and light. Bye.